Obamacare is socialized medicine. It bears the hallmarks of all government programs. These marks are efficiency, speed, and compassion. Efficiency is that of the United States Post Office. Speed is the speed of the United States Veterans Administration. And the compassion is the compassion of the United States Internal Revenue Service. While these arguments against Obamacare are sound, there are other aspects of the law which make this legislation preposterous. First, let us realize it does not matter what the law says. What matters is how the law is interpreted by those in government who will write the regulations and then implement them. Cass Sunstein is the man who will be very active in the regulatory process of health care law. Secondly, Obamacare is not a smoking gun, it is a loaded gun. It is an empowering act, similar to OSHA. Obamacare, just as was done with OSHA, gives power to an agency, which after the law is passed, creates regulations to be enforced. Without exception, regulations imposed by new laws always exceed what was promised in order to get the law passed in the first place. As an occupational health physician, I had intimate experience with OSHA and its ways. OSHA, one agency. Obamacare, 159 new agencies. Here's a list of them.
There will be a quiz. Oh my God.
Allow me to point out several from the first slide. Number 1 is a consumer assistance offices. Number 2 is to monitor premium increases. Number 4, state wellness programs. 7, consumer navigator programs. 10, a council for state cooperatives. 11 is state basic health care programs. Do you get the idea? This is total control. It's a monstrosity. The two reasons that opposition to the law has not been so successful as it could be are that most people, even so-called experts, have not read it. And most people cannot read it through the eyes of those who mean to enforce it. This law, just as did OSHA, creates a department of government that throws the primary idea of separation of powers out the window. We have 3 branches of government, and they are supposed to check and balance one another. But here we see a huge number of agencies that are legislative, executive, and judicial, all in one. Each agency sets the law through legislation, enforces the law through fines and other means as the executive, and then judges the law as a judiciary through a variety of boards and commissions. Historically, there have been 3 professions or relationships, or estates as they've been called, that have privileged or confidential status: attorney-client, priest-confessor, and doctor-patient. This system sets up a national ID that will have all manner of information about you and your family. It will track you no matter where you live or travel in order to be involved with medical insurance coverage. And remember, you're mandated to be involved, ordered by the government to be involved, or else fined. Further interfering with the doctor-patient relationship are the various agencies which will ultimately review and determine what diagnostic procedures are necessary, what treatment afforded, what drugs are available and may be used, and even which doctor to see. In other words, the government will determine your total treatment. And if anything goes wrong, the politicians will blame it on everyone else but government. Let's quote an expert on socialism to see how what we're talking about fits into his plan. Of course, we're talking about Karl Marx. Now, all of this may seem a bit far-fetched. After all, Marx lived in the 19th century, and now this is the 21st century. So then, let's look at the 20th century, where our current politicians were born and educated. This is the cover to the new program of the Communist Party USA. It's a draft publication from 1966. However, soon after it was published, it was adopted at the next Communist Party convention. One of the planks called for complete, cradle to the grave, social insurance coverage, including all medical care. The communists have been working behind the scenes for decades to bring this about, and not for beneficial reasons, but to establish government control over the practice of medicine. In Europe, modern nations which have Medicare laws, such as the Netherlands, Germany, and Belgium, do use euthanasia. And in England and Canada, while officially they do not use euthanasia, they officially do ration health care for the elderly based on a point system. We have seen Obama administration officials praise this system. In the maternal and child health section of the law, under improvements in outcome for individual families, the government will institute local studies and experiments to be implemented into a national strategy all across the country. As we go through the list of improvements that the federal government wants, although they sound good, think of their intrusion into individual families. That's you and your children, done by the government. The improvements listed are about prenatal, maternal, and newborn health, child health and development, child cognitive, whatever that is, language, socio-emotional, and physical development, parenting skills, school readiness, child academic achievement, reduction in crime and domestic violence, improvements in family economic self-sufficiency, stress, both in the family and on the job, and more. Home visit programs are part of the law. Think of how the government must come into every home and school to first gather information. That means to spy, then use that data to intrude on parental rights. The idea of school readiness and academic achievement provides the excuse for government agencies to nullify parental prerogatives for private and home schooling. Since they will first test preschool children, then mold these tests to standardize or socialize how and what the children should be taught, they can then use this information to try to force you to send your children to government institutions. Government has never been a friend to homeschooling. With the government system, the risk is in the process of building a total government system which will ultimately lead to hardship for everyone through increasing taxes, less choice, and ultimately government control over all aspects of our lives. Let's return again to the reason the majority of Americans oppose Obamacare, but cannot define why. Americans are self-reliant. It is the spirit of America. Self-reliance built this country. Self-reliance tamed the wilderness and made America into a superpower. Obamacare will destroy self-reliance. Deep down, people sense this. Americans sense this even if they cannot articulate it. To destroy self-reliance is to destroy America. And the solution is freedom, not more government. So let us work to repeal this health care law and replace it with individual responsibility. Finally, thank you for all you will do to help stop Obamacare.